Hello everyone, I'm back again with another amazing video on what is SRE with Kumar Nitil, who is an lead BizOps engineer at Mastercard. Hello Nitil, welcome in the live session at TechMaestro.
Hey, good afternoon, Mansi.
Hi. Nitil, briefly introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Kumar Nitil, and by designation, I am a lead BizOps engineer at Mastercard. But in a day-to-day life at my work, I am in a role of SRE, you can say, with a mix of DevOps. There is a slight like people do consider that SRE and DevOps are one and the same thing. But as we go into the session, I would stress into the area which minutely differentiates the two. So my role is a mix of two. I have been doing the role of DevOps for the past 5 6 years, like almost around the time that DevOps started making a buzz in the industry. With Mastercard, prior to Mastercard, with Cerner, and before that I was in Siemens. So across industry, I have been on and off on this role, and precisely for the last 6 7 years, I have been a full time DevOps engineer.
Okay, pretty experienced. Nitil, can you just give us insights on what is SRE, what is Site Reliability Engineer?
Okay. Uh, there is a very interesting story about site reliability engineering. Normally, when we hear software engineering or anything system administration, so it was born out of a certain industry requirement. Like when softwares were required, then software developers came into picture, and they were called software developers, and then this designation came. And when the people who would manage the system, they were called as system administrators, as we all know, and they also exist today. Site reliability engineering came into picture when a software developer in Google, I think Ben Sloss is his name. He was hired in 2003, and he was given a task to run production systems, and he was given a team of 7 engineers, if I can recall correctly. So he, as a practice by profession, was a software engineer who was given the task of running production systems. Now, these are two pole things apart. So when they started this job, obviously as a software engineer, you look for ways to automate things. When I
Yeah.
say traditionally running the production systems, it is how we deploy the applications, how the applications are running across various servers, virtual machines, containers, or right now we also have cloud. So then the question, let's come back to the question, what is site reliability engineering? Or who is a site reliability engineer? A site reliability engineer is someone who has either he is a system administrator and has a background or has a fair understanding of software development, or he is a software developer, okay, and has exposure in running production systems. Now, what I mean by this, let me explain further. As a skill, to be a SRE, you need to have both. You need to have the ability to run the production system, and you need to have the software development skill. Anyone who says that as a SRE you don't need to be a good software developer or a good skill as software developer, that would be not very correct statement, and that's where it differentiates from DevOps. I will come to that point later. So SRE always keeps looking that what are the traditional models of deployment into production system. Like if I have to deploy an application on one server, I can do it manually. 10 server, again I can do it maybe manually. It will take certain more time. What about 1000 servers? What about 10,000 servers? Will we do manually? There comes the SRE. Okay, that's my challenge, and I have to automate it. So SRE will know their production system, and then will work on automating the entire thing. But he also needs to know that how the application is behaving. where his software development skills comes into picture. DevOps. Now, when I say DevOps, not necessarily he may know exactly backend development and all. He is good in scripting, he is good in CI/CD, and he is good with creating certain script or pipelines. Life's good. But in SRE, you need to have at least certain skill or understanding of software development. I hope that
Okay,
answers the question, Mansi.
pretty well. Good enough. Okay, so as you have briefed about the SRE, so please brief about how is the SRE role different from SWE and SG1?
Okay, fine. Let's continue what I was saying. I think I went into that direction only.
Yeah.
As I said, SRE, you need to have an understanding of software development, but your role will not be to do software development. For example, let's take one of the applications on app or app which is creating a lot of buzz today. For example, Cred. All right. So if I am a SRE at Craig, I would need to know that how Cred as an application has been built, or as an application it's very big. Let's take one module of Cred, which is, or one feature, right? When we log into Cred, there is an authentication, or any feature like that which is part of the module of that software. So as an SRE, I need to understand that how that has been built, what's the underlying architecture of it, and how, for example, tomorrow if there is a version upgrade, then how that is going to be built. Means I need to have an understanding of the product. Based on that, I would be creating certain automation. It can be a chef cookbook, it can be Kubernetes based deployment, which is going to do the deployment for us. Okay. But when I say software SDE1 or development engineer or backend engineer, you are actually going to develop the product. You will not have a role in actually deploying the product. But as an SRE, there I think, I may be a little biased, but this what makes the role of a SRE bit more complex, because as a developer I would be concerned that my application should be compatible with certain things, and there are certain features which I have to deliver and done. I will be looking that it is also deployable. But as an SRE, I also need to know that how it is developed, as well as it should be working in production. So working in production is my job. I have to make it work in production. So there the role becomes more complex of an SRE. So that's the thing. You are, as an SDE, you are actually making the product, but as an SRE, you are making the product work as well as deploying it faster.
Okay,
I hope that
so
answers the question, Mansi.
yeah, so you are showing superiority of SRE.
No, no, that is again a debatable question. I think then people would be after
Yeah,
me. If we don't have good software developers, then I don't think we are going to have good product. I will not say a superior role, but I will definitely say an additional role. You have an additional role as an SRE.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So my next question is, how is the interview process for SRE are different from SDE and SWE roles?
Okay. I will be very honest, since I have been in SRE, so I don't have a lot of experience in SDE, but I will try to convey in SDE what I know. When I go for a job or interview of an SDE process, depending upon the company where I am applying, I would be definitely tested on the basis of my coding capabilities. I will be definitely tested on the basis, depending upon which level I am applying. I would be tested on my system design, my how I am good with algo, data structure, and stuff like that. So the basis of what an SDE goes through, software development process, and other stuff. So as an SDE, I would be expecting questions into that area of thing, means coding, DS, algo, and stuff like that. But SRE has certain additional responsibilities, which I was trying to say. For example, when I'm going for an SRE, they would definitely look, if not at, like, if as an SD I'm going for an interview, then they would be looking for a understanding of DS algo and coding at a very in-depth level. There, when I go for an SRE interview, they would be definitely looking at how clear my concepts are in terms of coding and development, right? Certain degree less in depth, a little, depending upon company to company. In certain companies they would just look for, I would not name the companies because the standards keep changing, but let me take it this way. If you are going for tech giants like Fang, so in coding capabilities, I don't think there is a lot of difference on how they are going to interview an SRE or an SDE. But we come to other companies who are not like Fang or Mang for that sake. So there, your coding capabilities questions would be slightly less tougher, I would say, for an SRE. But there are additional areas where you will be asked where an SDE is not checked. One of the very important areas is ITSM practices. Now, as an SRE, there is a very big chunk of responsibility on my head, which is change management, incident management, process management, problem management, which we categorize. In case of an incident, the people who are performing an SRE role, they are the ones who come into picture because running the production systems is also in their hand. So it's very important that their concepts in this ITSM practices are very very clear. The the another thing is which can be called as common here, but with slight difference. I will elaborate. When you go for an SD, they will check your capabilities, how you can scale an application, right? How you can scale an application. For example, how an application can take additional traffic in a very less amount of time, right? But when I go for an SRE interview, the concept of scaling changes. I gave a very small example that if I have to deploy on 10 servers and then I go to 10,000 servers, for example, for an SRE, that is a scaling capability. Is the practice as an SRE which he has developed, is it capable like tomorrow if there is a requirement that the deployment takes place in n numbers of servers at a very fast time, then is the SRE capable of deploying or creating that or not? In SD, you will be asked whether your application is capable of taking more throughput or more load or not. So you will be asked concepts related to scaling, but the context will be different in case of SRE as compared to what we are asked in SD. Another area is architecture. Again, SD will be asked in architecture, which is more application oriented. When you are in SRE, then you will be asked the architecture which contains an end-to-end flow from the moment the developer checks in the code to the point it moves to production. So this entire thing will be asked as an SRE. So how well do you understand the CI/CD practices? How, if you can be given a question as an SRE that say suppose, which I usually give when I interview for SRE, that say suppose I give you the liberty of choosing DevOps tools of your own, then how will you create a system which is scalable as well as has a certain degree of agility, and which is also giving you a continuous feedback. So you have to create an end-to-end system using the DevOps tools of your choice, and you have to give me reason why you are choosing that. So this kind of question can come for an SRE definitely in terms of but in SD, I don't think that this would be one of the questions for it to be asked for an SD interview. One more important aspect from interview process is that you would be tested, like coding knowledge. You would be tested. I already mentioned in both. You may be asked. They may also see an aspect of how quickly you can create script. The script, like Bash, Shell script, these things can be asked. Your Linux fundamentals are very very important as an SRE. There are almost all the major tech companies are running their systems on Linux. No offense to that. Whether even in cloud now, they have, even Azure has come up with the Linux VMs in their cloud, so there is no escaping to that. So you may or may not be asked for Linux based administrative questions, system admin questions in SDE, but definitely in SRE I am expecting those questions.
Okay, it's fine. Uh, so, what is your day-to-day work as an site reliability engineer?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Uh, Well, people think that as a DevOps engineer or as an SRE engineer, every day you are sitting and automating things, and every day you are creating a system which is scalable and going end to end. But actually, that is not the case in most of the companies. Usually, in the major tech companies, you would be tagged. There are two ways how SREs are based. There can be a central team who is working as a SRE, who is working as consultant or people who do SRE job for the entire company. Like in startups, you will find that there is one such team. Big tech companies have their products which are divided into individual programs, guilds, and etc. etc. Right? So in big tech companies, there can be SREs who are tagged to a particular application. Right? Now, if you are working for a startup, then you are doing every day everything every day under the sun. Like you are automating, you are scaling, you are monitoring the code, you have created health checks, you are monitoring the thing, you are taking feedback, you are handling outages, everything. These are all the responsibilities of an SRE. If I have to just categorize the responsibilities, then these are the ones like deploying, monitoring, everything. When you are working for big tech companies and you are tagged to a product, right, then you would be the work then differentiates. Then you would be given a requirement based, like we have this program or this application, and for this we need this kind of CI/CD practice or this kind of deployment. For example, if I have to do a VM based deployment, I have been given a requirement here. So I initially I would be working to create that automated system, right? So that would start with brainstorming that how my system is going. Basically, a system design in its own level, not a product system design, but a design of how you are making or how you are designing the production system for the particular application. So uh, you would be spending time in brainstorming that, then you would be working on creating that system, you would be making sure that that system works, right? And when that system works, then you will be like in SRE also, in big tech companies there are divisions, like there are certain teams who do automation, and once the automation is done, there are certain sections of team who would do only production support, so they would be handling it over to them. But that's only one way of seeing it. So, as I said, you could be given anything to do. You can be doing production support, you can be handling customer issues, you will be handling outages, definitely handling outages. Everywhere, every company, the situation comes, you would be required to create a root cause analysis for the same, and you would be doing automation. So, pretty much everything under the sun. By what volume you will be doing, that would really depend upon where you are working and how your work profile is.
Yeah. So I thought the same, but you vanished the mics. Hmm. Okay, so my next question is, what kind of scale do you have to handle as an SRE for an application?
Uh, this again, it's a question which is an answer in its own way. Depends on the application, right? Now, usually for small applications, there wouldn't be required an extensive SRE practice. But for an application which is this case, like let me answer it this way. This would depend upon what kind of traffic you are drawing for an application. Okay, there are, like, talk of scalability in terms of availability of application. Let me take you 15, 20 years back when there was no cloud or something. People were relying on servers, let's call it, and virtual servers had just come into picture. So for an application who has a very high volume of traffic, how will it manage, right? You will say, then what used to people do at that time? Okay, you have a production server or a production, let me call it a production, we call it production environment. For example, the cred which is used by end customer, or any product which will be used by the end customer, is usually a production system. Any application for that sake. So uh, in that case, let's in that 15 20 years back journey, if I am seeing that a very high volume of traffic is coming, then I will give, okay, take 10 servers for production system. The system admin will take, okay, take 20 servers. So that used to be called as horizontal scaling. Means more the traffic, increase the number of servers. Today what we have something called as vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is a concept in its entirety. What I mean is that uh, it's a very good way of doing resource optimization, and the one of the very good example is Kubernetes for that sake, or any cloud service provider like Azure, AWS, or PCF for that example. Depending upon the traffic, more instances will start getting deployed. One of the very good example being Kubernetes. For example, I have just 3 to 4 cluster of the application handling the traffic. As the traffic increases, automatically more number of clusters are coming live. And once it goes down, then I am switching it off. This is called something as vertical scaling. So there is no exact number which we can give, but the scaling has to come from the understanding of an application, what kind of traffic you are experiencing, and what kind of technology or what kind of underlying architecture you are putting. If we look around, majority of the companies today are depending upon cloud and Kubernetes, stuff like that, which gives them the capability of vertical scaling, on demand scaling. And what kind of number they are going to put there, it really depends on the application.
Yeah. Okay. So as you promoted from the senior to the lead one, so how does one grow in this role?
If I have to answer this question, then it's a very surprising answer. I will say, I would say ownership. If I have to make it one answer, say suppose I am a
Yes.
manager and I am looking to promote a person who is doing a senior role. There will not be a great deal of difference in tech skills of a senior, whatever he is, software developer or an SRE, and a lead SRE or a lead software developer. More or less, they are on the same skill. Yet, we see that some people are promoted and some are not. Now, why? As a lead, you own responsibilities. My manager should be confident enough that tomorrow, if there is something, I can confidently give it to this guy. So he will be able to come up with a solution and deliver it. So first thing first, he should, your manager or your management for that sake, should have that confidence in you. And how does that confidence comes? At some point of time, you have shown that you are capable of taking responsibilities. You are capable of owning anything which you have been given, and without multiple follow-ups, you are able to complete that work. That's one aspect of it. Second thing is mentorship. As a lead, we constantly mentor other people in our team, right? So your image or your perception should be such that people look up to you. That if I have
Yes.
a certain degree of problem, technical mostly, I can go to the person. Now, when I said that technical doesn't matter, here is the place where technical comes into play. As a lead, you should be on the top of tech know-how in your team, right? So when you own things, you play a pivotal role. You own more, then you have more understanding of things. You go in depth with things, and that's where your tech skills also increases. So people will look up to you. So these two things will always play a role, and I think these two things will is fair for anyone. If he owns and he grooms people, he is bound to become or get promoted in whatever position he she is.
Okay. So this is here personal and professional skills work more than technical skills.
Yes, I can say your. I would say your sincerity. If I have to say how sincere you are.
Yeah.
You would be handling things which are very costly and very dearer. Like if those are not covered, then things may not look good. So in that case, you have to show that management has that degree of confidence that will make you move up in the ladder anywhere. That is true.
Yeah, and here it shows the word, basically the reliability, the true meaning of the
Correct,
reliability.
correct. You have to be reliable. They should feel that you are reliable.
Good. Okay. So, what is the secret sauce to get promoted to senior level in software industry? Do share your
Uh,
secret mantras.
Okay, okay. Let's talk. Like from you, let me put that question. Like when you have joined as a junior developer or a junior SRE to a senior level, right? Will
Yeah,
that be a correct? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
For this, since you are not a lead, but you are looking forward to get promoted as senior, uh, take the most challenging, I would call, feature you have, which is out there in your team. Every team has a bunch of work, right? As a human tendency, people have the tendency to go towards the easier format of work. So this can be delivered easily, let me do that. But if you are really looking to be promoted as a senior in any level, then take up the work which everyone is scratching their head about and complete, deliver it. That will, what will it do? Obviously it is going to increase your tech skills, but that will make you noticed. At any level, to get promoted, people should start noticing you. How do they notice? That is, there is not one answer to it. This is one answer which I gave, but do something constructive that people start noticing you. The result should reflect. Make noise about it. Okay. We have a, like, certain people have a habit of humility that done my work will be noticed. Doesn't work. Trust me. If you did 1% work, at least 1% information should be there with your manager. I'm not saying do 1% and make noise about 10%, but whatever work you do, that should be known. The communication is the key, that I did this work, I delivered this work, and that should happen consistently over a period. I delivered something in January, then I'm sitting idle till March, then I will start in April. That doesn't work. At least one or two significant chunk of information that I did this in this sprint or this month should come. There will be scenarios that where you are not able to deliver. Very, it is very much possible, but there your communication plays a key role. If you are not able to deliver due to any reason, it can be a very complex technical issue which is not in your hand, but your management should know about it, that genuinely this girl or guy has been working on it. Okay, it didn't happen, will happen, but the information should be there. So these are the few things. Take on something challenging, complete it, deliver it. Uh, Keep your communication always open, I would say, and I would say that have a good conversation. We have a tendency of saying that all managers are bad, but trust me, as a manager, we are. I have been in that role virtually for some time, and as a manager, I just want to be the work to be done. There is nothing personal about anyone there. That is my main goal. So keep your communication open. Have constructive talks. There is a difference between going and just mumbling something so that my manager noticed me, and there is a difference between uh, going and having a constructive talks with your manager. I have worked with a couple of managers in my previous organization whom people used to consider were very tough nuts, and I have got the best of the ratings from them. The reason was communication. I used to have constructive communication. Your manager is responsible for your growth, and make him. I have literally made this statement to one of my managers that if I'm in problem, be it my career related, then I have to come to you first. Then you tell me how are you going to help me. He is bound to feel responsible and is going to help you, whatever tough nut he might or she might be. So communication will be your key. If you find time, sometimes participate in extracurricular activities, it plays a role in making that constructive image. It will definitely play a role. People will notice you. So overall, there should be a perception which is positive about you.
True. Okay, so meanwhile, audience can ask their questions in the comment section itself. We will take up the questions one by one. Okay, so how do roles and responsibilities change with roles?
uh, as you grow in seniority, there will be a constant challenge on how much hands-on you do. This is one of the aspect which is true across, and I think this is one of the good and bad sides of getting higher in the level of seniority. Like when you grow as a senior or a lead, many a times you would be directing your peers to how to do the work or how to architect. You would be reviewing things. A lot of time is spent in reviewing. If you are a senior software developer or lead developer, then a lot of time you would be reviewing the code. If I am a SRE, then I would be reviewing the architecture which has been designed, the script which has been made, or maybe the error logs which has just happened. I am checking those. So you would be spending a lot of time which is not actually making your hands dirty. The challenge should be that you should periodically doing stuff or performing things on your own. That should be definitely there, and that will keep you in practice. That has to be there.
Okay. Okay, so any last advice that you want to convey to the audience, to the ones
Yeah,
who are
definitely. Sure,
okay,
go ahead.
yeah. So first of all, to the ones who are deciding to pave their career in the SRE, and the ones who are already in the SRE role.
Sure. So one who are already in SRE role, who are looking forward to upskill themselves, I would say that uh, majority of the tools have an open source version available uh, across. I mean, that's free. So for you to upskill yourself, uh, do work, like just get the tool and start working on it. If you want to read books, then there is one book of site reliability engineering which is available free of cost, which we want to read it online. It is Google site reliability engineering book. That is the one book which matters, I would say. And the what will matter is your hands on. As an SRE, what will matter is how much are you able to play around and make your hands dirty. Now this advice is also equally for people who are looking to start their career in SRE. So now once people are hired after college, then sometimes it's not much in their hands if they are land up directly in SRE role or not. But if they are really looking forward to make a career in SRE, then they will have to look for those roles either in their company or sorry for that. Yeah, so either in their company or any other organization. So so one thing is that your hands on will matter. You will have to just get going and work on the whatever tools you're looking forward. Most of the things are available free of cost. You can work on them easily, and most of the information is also available. There are podcasts on Spotify. Uh, One of the very good podcast which will skill you, like SRE SD equally, is Command Line Heroes, which I listen to. Usually, it gives a brief history of how software development has gone. There is one at Talks at Google. These are a couple of things which you can listen to. They will not teach you how to do things, to be honest. If you're looking at these talks that they teach you that how I do Kubernetes, then that may not be exactly the case, but they will change a perception or mindset which you have right now. Basically, they will start making you think into that direction. That's very, very important. The mindset is very important as an SRE. And one thing is that as an SRE, you don't know what territory you are entering. I should have brought this point earlier. As an SDE, I may know or I may be given a requirement that how an application is being developed, right? Or how I want the application to be developed. SRE is like going into the wild with a knife, and then you have to make most of out of it. So you will. So one thing is that you will have to understand the concept of an SRE. Tools will always keep changing. You will have to upskill yourself in the new tools which come into picture or become trend in the market. But and one thing which you will have to be to believe is that you will have to believe that you can do anything under the sun. That belief you will keep you ahead of anyone, I would say. Mansi, you're not audible, sorry.
Okay, so I think this suggestions and advices help people and the audience to get insights into the SRE role. Yeah. Okay, so it was a pretty amazing session and as well as the insightful session. Uh, Thank you, Nitil, for taking your time out and joining us live.
Sure, Mansi, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.